Okay, so those of you who are new to joining us, whoops. We go into breakout rooms later on based on our program we teach. So whether that be ELL, core French, primary French immersion, or junior intermediate French immersion. So in order to facilitate that, you will need to change your username. And if you want to follow the instructions on the screen on how to do that. It is optional. If you'd rather not go to a breakout room, that's okay too. You can just wait in the main room for us, but it is an opportunity to talk to teachers of a similar grade level as you. Okay, so you are joining us today for our FSL ELL chat. So welcome. Joining us is Teresa Lopetro, who is an ELL support teacher, as well as Steph Wood, an ELL support teacher. And we have a special guest teacher today. Kelly McLaughlin is here, and she's going to share some of the stuff she's doing in Google Meets with her class. And we're going to just start with our territorial acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Okay. So you are welcome at any point to unmute your mic and join in the conversation. We really encourage it and welcome it. And if you're more comfortable with just using the chat, that is there too. We are trying to monitor it, and we will bring any questions forward to the group. This is a time of sharing for everyone. Ask your questions, share challenges, successes you're having. We want to hear about it. So as I said, we have a teacher here joining us today from Sir John Moore. She teaches French immersion, FDK, and she has been doing Google Meets right from the beginning, and is doing some really interesting things with it. So we thought we'd bring Kelly on to share some of the stuff she's doing and how she went about organizing it and what some of the tips and tricks that she has learned along the way. So Kelly, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can. That's right.
Question, if you guys want me to fill the space while you got it sorted out.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
I do have, okay, so for Planet French, I saw your nice links and everything, and I have, years ago I ordered a membership. The only thing is, it comes into my LKDSB account as spam, and I keep saying to release it. And anyway, I made a new account with, the free memberships that they're giving out now kind of thing on my .com, and that is working. Like I can see it now, but I do not know how to put the videos into my classroom at this point. Oops, actually I have some new information here. So me.
What was that? I missed the ending.
My password has arrived, so that might be the difference.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm going to experiment with
that. Can you guys see?
So Megan, if you want to drop me an email, we can connect later and see if I can troubleshoot that. Because you shouldn't have to sign up for the free one. We have a subscription as a board.
Right, that's what I thought, but yeah. have it
So
running.
I'll connect with you after if you'd like, and we can try and figure it out.
Okay.
Can you see my screen now, Ange?
No.
No, you have to start
No.
sharing again.
Could you share it on yours, Ange?
Yes, I can. Let me try and find it.
Mine is not working.
Yeah, I just have to get it open.
Okay. Well, I'll just share some of my ideas so far.
Okay.
I do
Walk us through what you were doing, Kelly. How did you get started
Okay.
and tell us about it?
So I started the first week after March break because I just really wanted to see everybody. So then I started with read alouds where I would have them sign in. Well, I did Zoom sessions at first and they would sign in and then I would mute them all. I would read a story and then we would sing a song together and then they would share one thing they were doing. Because I feel like the thing that they're going to be missing the most is the French, getting kids to speak French. Like 6 months, it'll be almost 6 months by the time we go back. So I feel like the Google Meets are almost more effective in keeping them going than my seesaw activities sometimes. They are a bit hectic, but for sure they're very worthwhile. So what I tried to change it every week to keep the kids interested and coming. So I did bring a toy or stuffed animal to share. One week we brought our lunches and we all ate our lunches at the same time because when we're at school, I'll often say like, qu'est-ce que tu manges aujourd'hui? So then they shared all what they were eating and we had a bit of a picnic. One time I said, bring a mystery guest and they brought a family member and then they had to describe, they'd be like, voici mon papa. And then next week, we're going to play bingo. I just find that if you have a theme or an idea, it really helps to get the kids engaged. So on Sunday nights, I send out a week at a glance and I tell them what days we're going to meet. So we always meet Wednesday and Thursdays from 1 to 2, and I have them sign up. And
so how does the sign up look, Kelly? How do you go about organizing that?
Yeah, they'll send me, if you want to go to my ideas slide, that one might be the most worthwhile.
Right there?
Yeah. I send out an email and I just have the parents message me. So if you're wanted to sign up, you would say, oh, Ange wants to sign up. And then I would group you according to like how talkative you are. So I try to have like a few talkative people in each group, and it works best if you can have 4 to 5 kids. One week I asked them to come with a joke. There's so many ideas, but I don't know. It's a great way to get your kids speaking in French again at home.
Absolutely. And so you found the small group was more effective?
Yes, because then they got so many people talking at once. They have a hard time. My class, kindergarten, has a hard time muting and unmuting themselves. So I find if you have a small group, nobody has to mute. They can.
It makes it feel more natural, right? Like that actual interactive conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Yeah, they can really talk to each other. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So tell us more about some of these things. What are some of the favorite runs you've done with them? I loved the lunch idea. How cute and easy is that? Yet it brings the real life vocabulary to this conversation, right?
Yeah. Every other week I do a guided reading with my SKs. And for that one, I pick a book from Lecture Enfant and I send the book as a PDF on Seesaw. And then I'll also post a video of myself reading the book just in case their parents don't speak French. They can practice the book. And then on Wednesday, in their guided reading group, we get together and I share my screen. Works better than it did today. And we read the book together and we look for punctuation, the different things. We talk about the book, just like you would at school, but on Google Meet.
Right.
Number talks have worked really well. And for that one, I use Smart Notebook. And it was great because I could put in, I already had all the math tools I needed on Smart Notebook for when the kids wanted to solve. So that was a good one. Scavenger hunts are a great one to start with. Even when the kids are there, Like I would say, okay, go find something purple, and then they all run and grab something purple and then come back.
That's
Or
cute.
I'm like, get 6 of something and they come back. I'm really excited. I told the class we're going to play bingo next week. So I found bingo cards online, and I'm going to email the people who are interested, and I'm going to open it up to siblings and parents as well. And if they don't have a printer, I'm going to send the cards out on Monday. They'll have lots of time to make their own if they don't have time. And then we'll play online. And then I got the idea from my friend Lindsay Volchek. She had tried it in her class last week. So she had also shared with me her certificates for the winners that she emailed out after. So
I love the way you're bringing the family in, making it a whole family activity.
Yeah, because sometimes the siblings are lurking in the background. They eventually join in the Google Meet.
So why not just include them from the get-go?
Yeah, someone put in the chat Kahoots. That would be a fun one too. I think mine are a bit young for that, but great for older kids.
Corey says in the chat, if they have 2 devices, you can create a cool bingo using Flippity. Oh, there you go.
Yes. I thought about that too, but I want to keep it very simple for kindergarten.
Yeah. Know your learner, right?
Yes.
Did you want me to move to another? You just direct me what you want me to do with your slideshow, Kelly.
No, I think that's about it. It was just mostly, I really see the benefit of Google Meets and getting the kids talking, because I could sense them kind of losing it as the time went by. So the more they showed up to the Google Meets, the more they got their fluency back. Because when we left school, they were speaking nothing but French, but when you go home, they would come on and they would just, more and more English was coming out. So it was good. We talked about it. We were like, today we're going to speak nothing but French on here. And it really did get the kids talking. And I did notice they were getting their fluency back.
That's awesome, right? And like, in my opinion, at this time, that's all our focus needs to be, French, right? Just keeping the fluency up. You did have a slide here somewhere, or did you take it out? Oh, the large group versus small group. I thought this was interesting. You want to just talk a bit about that?
Yes. So I tried the large group at the start. I did a lot more whole group, but it's really hard when kids try to talk over each other or they all want to share. It was too much time waiting. So for some ideas, it is best. Like I'm going to play bingo as a whole group, but the smaller groups are just great. Like everyone has time to share. They love seeing their friends. So you can try to make sure you have friends in there. Usually with the younger kids, I only do it for 10 to 15 minutes.
Awesome. But like, I liked your idea of like, there is a time for large group and there's time for small group, right? Depending on the content and what your goals are for the day. I thought that was important to share. That's great.
Yeah, that's about it.
So any questions out there for Kelly? You're welcome to unmute your mic or put it in the chat. Anyone else that's
Can you hear me?
trying Google Meets so far?
Angela, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to show the word, to log in with a word?
Oh yeah, sure. Go for it.
I think Jane had a question or comment as well.
Okay, who was that?
I was just because I use Google Meets.
Do you want to talk to us about how you've organized yours, Jane, or what content is? How are yours going?
Sure. Wasn't somebody else going to just say something now, though?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Jane. I was just going to share, but you go ahead and then I'll share after.
Oh, okay. We sort of do a theme as well. So I meet every day at 1 o'clock with the grade 6s and 1:30 with the grade 7s. So they each have half an hour. And I usually get around between 10 and 15 popping in. So Monday we watch the news. Every like Friday or weekend, Planet French has a little news clip of, the videos are only about 5 minutes long. So Monday
so sorry, I just want to clarify, you watch yours live with the kids? like
Yeah.
during the meet?
I share my screen and I play the video for them. And then I have my iPad also logged into the Meet so I can monitor the chat. But my laptop is where I show the video. And then we've been looking at different themes. So we've been talking about clothing. This week we were talking about animals and how human activity can cause harm to animals and their environments, and how animals adapt to their environment, that kind of thing. And then we were talking about, they've been sharing about their pets. And we're going to be talking about cinema. So anyway, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we kind of look at those videos and chat. And there's always a question of the day to go with it. And they can either type it in the chat or speak it. And then Friday is Field Trip Friday. So we do virtual tours. So today's Belgium with the grade 6s, and the 7s are going to Saint-Malo because one of my students did the trip to France last summer. So she was in Brittany. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. I really focus on the oral communication piece. So the listening and then talking about what you've just seen in the video, and then, yeah.
I like the idea of doing the video together, right? Like we all know we use a lot of video content, right, for that listening input, but to just send the link is definitely not the same as when you're able to walk through it and pause it and have those conversations and, you know, the replay, all those strategies we use for second language learners. You're able to do that in a Google Meet situation, whereas to just send a link, we're reliant on them using those strategies by themselves. So I think that's kind of cool that you do it as a Google Meet.
And I'll quite often in advance prepare a couple of questions, and I'll say, you know, tell me what you think about why why bees are so important. You know, why should we worry so much about bees? And then so they go to an apple orchard, and the guy's explaining how they pollinate, and we would barely have any fruits or vegetables on the planet if it weren't for bees. So I'll front load some questions before we start watching it too.
Awesome.
What are the virtual tours like? That sounds really cool.
They're amazing. They're really good fun. And I for that one, I let them stay unmuted. So it's so funny to hear, like I'll share my screen and we'll be doing like a panoramic tour of wherever we go that particular week. And it's so funny to hear their comments in the background, and they'll talk to each other, say, hey, did you see that? Oh, I want to go there. So yeah.
Nice.
That's it. I let them all stay.
What's used for the virtual tours?
It's probably archived, but Corey did a whole presentation last week about how to find them and how to set them up. If you go to poly.google.com, they have a whole bunch of pre-prepared tours. So I've just been using those. And then I made a Google form a few weeks ago, and I just said, where would you like to go? So I'm sort of going through that according to their requests. So yeah, check out that website, and also look at the, I think, and just Corey's presentation on the archive thing.
I believe so. And Megan, I'm not sure if you follow the program department on any social media, but it was just last night, actually, I think it was sent out just a little clip video highlighting it, just to kind of show you how you might use it.
Is it in email? Where did it go?
No, it's on social media. I don't know, like
it's also in
Facebook.
the email. It's linked right in the email.
That's right.
That Carolyn
That's right.
sent this
from
morning.
Ben.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just it's like a quick little overview of how it works.
And Corey shared a document with us that we can share with you as well on how to set up your own tour if you wanted to make your own tour, as well as how to access those tours.
Accessing sounds easier.
I will put a link in the chat box.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Sammy wanted to share, she's also using Google Meets.
Yeah, I'm using Google Meets for FSL. And I originally, when I started a little bit differently. I looked at it as like, okay, this is an opportunity to see the kids. Let's speak a little French and see if they need help with anything, if they're doing okay. But then I'm pretty sure we all kind of hit the same roadblock where parents eventually kind of gave up at the end of April, and we saw our attendance plummet. So, and this happened to our homeroom teachers too. We were all talking about it. So I restructured my Google Meets, and now they're for games only. So the kids get on, we talk French, we touch base, see if they're okay. discuss anything I posted, if they need help with anything, and then we play games for the rest of the time. Right now I'm doing them for my 5, 6, 6, 7, and 7, 8s because they're linked to Google Classroom. My younger students, they're on Seesaw, so I was trying not to mix platforms, but I think it's come to a time where I need to start opening up to Google Meet for them as well. So I know my 3, 4s, their homeroom teachers looking at starting Google Meets. So I said, okay, let me know how your first one goes, and then I'll jump on the bandwagon after. That way they can kind of reunite with the homeroom teacher before I front load them with mixing platforms. But this past Wednesday, I meet every Wednesday with my students, and I don't get many for some of my classes because our school, family life is more important right now, especially we have a lot of students struggling with attendance online. But the students I do get, they're fully participating. They're excited to be there. They're having a good time. So my attendance is very low on 2 of my classes, but on the 1 class, I get 10 to 11, which is almost half the class, which is decent. So we usually go for half an hour, and I usually cut it off at half an hour. I have one teacher who actually scheduled her meet directly after mine, so I have a time limit. This week, I'm going to share my screen with you, actually. I played Key Switch with the kids. So we played Guess Who. And this is what it looked like. I have these cards physically at school, and they use a whiteboard marker and they erase it. Some of the French teachers and I got together last year and we actually played with them a little bit. So what it looks like before we begin, it's like this. I kind of rearranged it so they have the card. Right now I'm the one facilitating it, so I start, so they have an example. I pick a character, they ask me a question, I answer with a full sentence, and I pull it over. After they've finished the card, so it looks like this, for example, I ask if there's any student volunteers. In my 1 class, I had 3 kids wanting to volunteer at once to go. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
And if they got stuck, they would just ask how to say something again, and then they finally got in the rhythm of it. So it was going really well. But yeah, so that was definitely one of the highlights of Wednesday.
Okay, Sammy, I feel like I'm missing something though. It's just because Key Switch is usually 2-sided, right?
Yeah.
Board, so how have you adapted? I missed that step. I think.
Yeah. So Guess Who is a single board. So this time, I just put the whole board up. They don't have one. It's just me. So okay. I have to kind of put it single-sided, or I have the board. I'm controlling the board, and then someone would pick a character, say j'ai choisi. And I'm like, all right, comment cette question? So they start their question. The kids will start their questions, and actually my principal jumps on with us because she's French, and she helps facilitate the kids as well when I can't see their comments. So she would pick which student to ask the question, and then I'd repeat the question for the person who had picked the character, and they would say, oui ou no? And some of them tried a full sentence to respond, which is really cool. And then I would go block off according to.
That's awesome.
So
that's really exciting stuff.
That was my win this week. And then at the end of all of our sessions, we do a speed round of cards. I put a 30-second timer on. I hold up a card to the screen. They have to try and get to 14. So they just blurt out the number in French. So I'm working on their French number recognition rather than counting to 10 every time.
Yes.
I don't know about you guys, but some of our students in grade 8 can't count to 10. And it blew my mind when I first showed up. So we're working on that still. And then one time we played Spot It.
And what's that?
So some of you might know Spot It, and it's a card game. You have to show 2 cards at once, and the job is to find the match first. Now, usually if it's 2 pictures, 2 words, or a word and a picture. The word and the picture are usually about the same color. So you have to try and find the match. Yeah, does anyone see the match?
Soleil.
I saw
See the soleil. So there's soleil on here and there's soleil right there. So sometimes we'll play Spot It as like a mini break from something more intense. So, and the kids kind of like it, works on their skills at finding things too. So it's really cool.
That's really cool.
So,
I just wanted to pick up on something you had said, that your principal joins in on your Google Meet. And I think just knowing Steph, Teresa, feel free to join me here in this conversation, but I know from our end to have more than one person is really helpful. That there's just so much going on when you're trying to share your screen, you're trying to interact, and you're trying to monitor a chat. Like, it's really challenging to do it alone. So if you have, like, especially if you can partner with classroom teachers or whatnot, like, or vice versa, goes both ways, right? So when you're running a session and when they're running one, to be able to partner up. I think there's value in that team approach.
Yeah, so I usually have my principal in on all of mine. When you have a larger group, it's really nice to have an administrator there to monitor what's happening on the side. But then otherwise, I sometimes have the resource teacher. She also speaks French a little bit. And then sometimes the EAs pop in to play around with us too. So we play Pictionary and it works. So
that's awesome. Now, do you always do large group or do you do smaller groups?
I do large group because it's only 11 or less. So I average around 2 to 5 for my 2 other classes, and there's 11 for my high participating class online right now. So right now it's larger groups. If I branch off to smaller groups, I'm going to keep it for the younger kids, I think, when that gets going.
Yeah. That's exciting. Any questions for Sammy?
Cool ideas, Sammy. I like the games.
And I think we have some homeroom teachers who are kind of starting to see my idea. They're like, I like the idea of playing games during their meets. Yeah. And I'm like, it'll keep the kids engaged, and it definitely provokes oral communication when we're playing around.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
That connection is what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of social butterflies who come to socialize, but they're really tapping into their previous knowledge and things they've learned. So they're retaining it a lot easier than they used to be.
Is there anyone else out there that's been trying Google Meets at all? Or has questions that, or maybe they're interested, they want to learn more about it, or?
I just wanted to know, how do you set up your Google Meets with your core French students? Like, do you have your own Google Classroom with them? Do you post the link to their class? Like, see or Google, like, I'm trying to pull mine in and I'm finding it, so I didn't know how that worked for you.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So what I did is when I first learned how to launch a Google Meet, I went into my actual calendar and said schedule Google Meet, and then I have it recurring link. After I started doing that, Google Classroom started giving you links for your classrooms. So I have separate Google Classrooms for 3 of my classes because I didn't want to keep bombarding them on their homeroom teacher's class. So all their French stuff is separate to their homeroom teacher's classroom. And actually, Angela, can I share my screen for 1 more second?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I'll show you. I took a lot of advice from that Zoom session about Google Classroom, and I reorganized my Google Classroom. All right, so we're in the classroom section here. All right, and so I have Google Meet expectations that I've now posted based on one student's behavior 1 week. And he apologized.
Show us, what are your expectations? Because I think that's important to address, right? Like, because that is a concern that some teachers have. So what do you set out as expectations for students?
I said be respectful and of others' their opinions, be responsible of their choices that they're making well in a Google Meet. Be considerate of things you choose to fiddle with on camera. So yes, that was a really interesting email to the parent, and she was not pleased. The Google Meet is a virtual classroom, essentially. Therefore, anything that isn't tolerated in class will also not be tolerated during a Google Meet. So I wanted to lay it out there for the kids to actually be aware of that. And then I borrowed the student expectations too. And I talked about that and what they post. I don't have a lot of usage right now, which I want to kind of make sure that happens starting next year. But I keep my Google Meet link at the top of my classwork, so they always have it. Okay, so it's right there. They can click it and go. And it's the same time every week, so that's why I post it. On the stream, I also post it every time, don't forget to join our Google Meet. And then it's right there. So it's the morning of, as well as I've started including it as their speaking component during the things I post during the week. So
That's
it's
great.
posted in 3 different places for them to find it. So there really is no excuses.
So if a teacher didn't have their own Google Classroom set up, as a core French teacher, I'm talking probably more so, what would you say would be a good way to run that?
I would link it with the homeroom teachers Google Classroom, or if they have a Seesaw, join it with their homeroom teacher Seesaw and post the link onto their page. And just be like, everyone, I'm having a Google Meet today at this time, or this day, this time. I'd love for you to join. Click the link below and you're there. So the thing with going through Seesaw is that the kids need to know how to log into Google using their Gmail account.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
You have your expectation. You also have control over the students. Like you can mute them. You can actually boot them out of it if you needed to. So not that you would, but you have, as the host, you have a lot of control over that. So if you're worried about anybody speaking, if anything's inappropriate, you can mute them right away. So just so you're aware of that.
And they can only join from within the LKDSB unless they have a link to click on. And in that case, then you have to approve them joining. So if they're using a different Gmail address than their lkdsb.com, it will ask you whether or not you will let them join, which lets you control who is in the Google Meet. Because I know there were some concerns about controlling who is coming in and knowing who is coming in.
Yeah, I have one student I have to approve every week for one meet.
Because they probably aren't using their LKDSB. And then also, as in the LKDSB, you have the option, you can have them join in with just a word as well. You can set that up on that home page. I can show you really quickly. Oops, maybe not. So if you go into your Google Meets, right here, it says join or start a meeting. You can put any word in here. I could put Teresa, let's say, and I would continue. And then you can share that with everybody, and they can just join in with one word, which I think is pretty easy and cool too.
So that's instead of a link, right, Teresa?
That's instead of a link. So say you are joining someone else's classroom, you could say, here's the link at 11:30, write the word French, and anybody with an LKDSB account that you've added or asked to come in, they can come in just putting the word into their Google Meets and write the word French, and they get right in. Or in my case right now, I put my name and they would just put that in. So if I meet with other teachers, sometimes that's how I do that. I'll say, oh, meet me on here, and I'll put the word hello and I'll get in. So it's just a simple way as well to do it. A lot of them are, yeah. So Kelly's saying a lot of her parents' phones, they use the phones to sign in, so she has to approve them. So that's correct. So you are, so if you don't have the LKDSB, you're still allowed in, but you have to be approved, like we said.
Especially for the little ones, they're probably not using their Gmail account as readily as our older ones, the older kids would. I can see that. Any other questions or comments regarding Google Meet before we move on? Lots of great sharing today. Thank you to everyone who shared some of your expertise. Okay, so an alternative, or in addition to perhaps, is video content. As you know, not everyone will be there for the Google Meets. So video is a way to supplement maybe what you're doing in your Google Meet, or it could run just in parallel too. That way it's always stored in whatever your platform is for students to access. So Steph is gonna take us through a couple little things here.
So there's a couple ways that you can use videos to help clarify ideas. This came up because one of the other coaches mentioned that child's teacher sent home a quick video to explain how to complete an activity that she didn't understand either. And she was just so appreciative of the explanation, because then they could do it properly at home. And it made so much more sense with a quick little video just showing her. So these are a couple ways that you can make videos to help your students see, hear, and understand, maybe to clarify something or to give instructions about something specific. So you can use videos of yourself. That's entirely up to you. You definitely don't need to be on camera. But I did want to mention that Apple Clips has filters, which make you look like cartoons or ink drawings instead of just your face. That might make your students feel more comfortable as well. You can use a whiteboard and draw and explain, or you can do screen recordings. And we're going to show you examples of all of these.
Okay, so this first one I created in Seesaw, and it is an activity that you would frequently see in a primary French immersion class where we're focusing on our different sounds, identifying the sounds in a word. So I chose to do a video recording so that they could actually see, I am so sorry, so that they could actually see what was going on, what I was expecting them to do when they got to the activity. So I'm going to just hit play.
Nous étudions aujourd'hui 3 sons différents, le son OU, ON et AN. Il faut regarder les images en bas de la page et les classifier selon leur son. Par exemple, ceci est un bonbon. Quand je dis bonbon, j'entends le son ON. Alors, je place le bonbon ici sur le son ON. Il faut faire pareil avec toutes les autres images. Raisin, poupée, pantalon, savon, souris, bouche, prince, hibou, lapin. Maintenant, c'est à toi de les compléter.
So my goal in creating this video was to try to reenact those strategies we would use in the classroom. Rarely would we ever just give kids an activity with written instructions. We usually explain it orally, and many times would also do a demonstration alongside it. So that's what the goal of this video was to help them through that. But additionally, it provided the vocabulary they needed with the pronunciation so that they could hear it, repeat it, that sort of thing. And in this specific activity, I didn't want to write the words because it was a phonemic awareness activity, right? I didn't want them using those graphophonemic cues. I really wanted them focusing on the oral component. So I thought it was important for me to say all of those words aloud so that they could hear it, so the parents could hear it, and then ultimately they could keep going back and re-listening if they forgot what one of those words were. So that's one example. And that was just created in Seesaw with the draw tool. But there are other ways to do an activity like that. And I think actually, Steph, are you talking to one of them?
I am. I just wanted to quickly explain screen recording for your Apple products. If you didn't know how to turn it on, I use this a lot. So what you do is you go to your settings and then to control center, which is the little blue that's highlighted in the bottom, and then choose customize controls. And as you scroll down, you will see screen recording. Click on that and it will become part of the menu up at the top. And then, can you go ahead, Angela?
Yeah.
And then it becomes part of your menu when you swipe down, and you can choose that double circle button at the bottom. If you just press it, you get a countdown from 3 before it starts recording your screen. If you hold it, you get the option to turn on the microphone. So over on the other side, it shows you here that the microphone is off. That means that it will only record sound within the iPad itself. So say if you're recording a video that is playing on your iPad, it will record that sound. If you want it to record your voice, you need to turn the microphone on. And also it's really important, all of your notifications will be recorded as well. So you may want to turn on Do Not Disturb so you don't get those email notifications at the top of your screen, or any other notifications you have turned on, because that will be part of your video as well. And then the videos are saved to your photos. And if you have the newest version of the iOS, you can actually edit the video right in your photos. If you have older versions, you're going to have to edit it in another video editing software like iMovie or InClips. So we have a couple examples for you on the next screen. So the one on the left, you can show students or parents how to do something on their iPad. So I've made them to show them how to access the app management system. I use them all the time to send to my parents when they don't know how to use something on their phone. They're like, how do I do this? So this one shows them how to turn their AirDrop on for everyone.
So additionally, you could be narrating.
I could be narrating that as well. Yep. And if I wanted captions, I could use clips to re-record it and put live closed captions on it. You can also use it to record the whiteboard as you're drawing to quickly explain a concept. We were talking money the other day with one of my students. So this will explain what he was struggling with.
When we're expressing dollar amounts, such as $1.25, we put the dollar sign before the amount and use a decimal to mark between dollars and cents.
As we all know, that's not the case everywhere. And then,
but that would totally be, I can see that as a teaching point in French, how it's not that.
Yes, exactly, right?
So, sorry, I didn't have the access. Do you want me to share it quickly, or you'd have to unshare for me to share it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with our ELL students, oops. So if I go to here, so this is it when we're fridge. So it's just a word fridge showing the picture. With our ELL students, they don't have the familiar words of the home, so they don't really learn. So my idea would be, let's take kitchen words and slowly introduce one word at a time. So we'd show the word, we'd show a real example of it, and that's as simple as it can be, the micro video.
But that could be a springboard towards more activities, right? Related around the vocabulary.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions or anything in the chat we need to address? Check it out. Okay. So I think we're going to go to our breakout groups for those who are interested. We're going to, I suppose, maybe say 5 minutes today because we are short on time. There's a lot of great sharing happening, so hopefully you found value in that. So breakout groups is just your chance to just talk about whatever you want to talk about. How's your week going? Wherever you want to go. Ask questions, share success, whatever you want. We'll go 5 minutes. If Rod, you're there to help us through that.
Yeah, no problem. If Megan Gare, I think is that how you say your name? I'm not sure which group to put her in. Everyone else is in a group though.
Okay.
We'll bring you back in 5 minutes. Megan, do you have a preference?
Core French, please.
Core French. Okay, we can do that. Let me just make this. Okay, see you in 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay.
So in about 10 seconds, we'll probably see 15 people all appear at the same time.
Yep.
Everyone takes every last second.
That's good. That's the purpose.
And we're back.
Just like that. So did anyone have anything from the breakout rooms that you wanted to share to the big group? Anything you maybe heard someone else share that you thought, hey, everyone needs to hear this, or whatever?
I can share something. Steph recommended I share it. I don't, so hopefully everybody else will think it's cool.
Okay.
So I jumped on the bandwagon for the like Bitmoji craze, which is kind of crazy. It's super fun. And one thing I've been integrating is like a virtual library using Book Creator. So right now, I don't know if it's like a right now thing, but Book Creator on a desktop, which is amazing. I dislike working on my iPad very much because it's small. You can create 40 books using Book Creator. And this works really well for our primary students because I find any resource out there is sometimes too high of a like language level for them. So I've been creating my own books. I'm going to share an example of a book that I created the other day, and I've been adding them to a virtual classroom.
Do you want to share your screen, Courtney,
where
or
kids can go? It's my voice. I know what the content is. Pardon?
Do you want to share your screen?
No, I just put a link in the chat if everybody wants to click on that. I mean, I can if it's easier. Hopefully the link will work. But the really cool thing is you can create 40 books for free right now.
That's incredible.
And if you have some keen grade 7, 8s, you could really do some models or samples with them, and they could then create books for your primary. If you kind of outline your expectations, then it's not you creating them.
It's built that whole school collaboration, right? Bringing communities together. Corey, I can't recall with Book Creator, can you add audio? You can, right?
Yep, you can add audio, text, pictures. It's pretty slick.
Awesome.
There's some talk. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Steph. You can
go ahead.
Publish your book to the web, so then it just becomes a link. So the link I sent you, and it just goes through the book. You can hear the audio. So you don't have to have an account or the app, because on the iPad you had to have Book Creator to open it, right? Because it was an EPUB. This is just a link so anyone can open it.
Very cool. That's good to know. I wouldn't have known that.
I want to be cognizant of time, but I just wanted to mention there's some chat in the chat about the Bitmoji classrooms. And I don't know if everyone has seen these or not. They're all over Twitter. And Jane mentioned, was it Jane? Sorry? Julie mentioned that there's a Facebook group where you can get ideas. If anybody's wondering what it is that we're talking about, I'll show you really quickly.
Or maybe if anyone has one they've created next week.
Yeah, if they want to share one. This is one of the
share out next week. That would be cool. Give us
yeah,
some ideas of what you're putting in it.
Hold on, I'll stop sharing my screen.
That's awesome. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Corey. And for those of you who aren't or who want to keep those links, obviously you can click them right now, but there is a way to save the chat. Rod, do you want to just walk us through how to save the chat if somebody wanted to keep those?
Sure. If you want to grab those links, just on the bottom of the chat window, there are 3 little dots there that indicate the menu continues, and you can choose from the option of save chat. And if you click that button, it'll save as a text file that you can have on your computer, and you can sort of do what you like with the links and such.
That is only for those of you on computers. It's not an option for those of us on the iPads.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But
then
if
you better copy those links right now.
you can always shoot us an email too, and we'll send them to you.
Yes, that's right. Christina said that she's starting a virtual classroom and that there's all sorts of tutorials on YouTube as well. So if you're looking at creating one, there's some more options. But it'd be really cool if anyone does decide to do one, if you want to share it back with the group next week, or some of the videos you're doing, whatever, yeah, we can learn together. So I think that brings us to the end. It's a dangerous rabbit hole. So true.
Angela, would it be all right if I shared the cards for Key Swish?
Absolutely.
I did it in our small breakout group, but I'll throw it on there. The ones that are already used, you can delete, and then you can just duplicate the fresh ones if you want. That's probably the best way to do it, instead of removing all the cards.
That'd be great. So are you going to put that in the chat, Sammy? Is that how?
Yeah, I'm going to pop it in the chat. I'm just copying the link right now. And it's there.
So Jane mentioned next week more about Bitmoji classrooms. And we would love to get any feedback of anything at all that you would like to talk about. I know that we share a link every week if you wanted to give us feedback, but we did want to let you know that the feedback is anonymous, so we don't know who you are. And we would love to know what you would like to talk more about, because this is us here to help you connect with other teachers. So let us know what you want to know.
Awesome. So that brings us to Friday afternoon of a long weekend, guys. There is the link for the feedback form that Steph was just talking about. So yes, please do fill that out. It just helps guide us as to what you like about the sessions, what you want to see more of, or what you want to stop, whatever. So I wish you all a lovely long weekend. Hopefully the weather is agreeable. Have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Happy weekend.
Thank you.
Merci, au revoir.
Au revoir.